Hello, my name is Marc. I am an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Maryland. I have been an attorney since 1980, practicing approximately 37 years. I primarily do personal injury, auto accidents, and workers' compensation. The purpose of today's video is to discuss what is an independent medical evaluation. We'll first start off with the fact that independent medical evaluations are not independent in any way. Typically, an independent medical evaluation is set up by an insurance company in order to have you see their doctor. The insurance companies are the ones that gave it the name independent medical evaluation. However, a lawyer who represents claimants or people that are either injured on the job or people that have been injured in an auto accident, we like to call them insurance company medical evaluations because that's more appropriate. There's nothing independent about these. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, the insurance company typically will use doctors, the same doctors, all the time. The reason they pick those doctors is obvious. One, the doctors know in advance that if they give opinions that are favorable to the insurance companies, they will continue to receive work from the insurance companies. So based upon that, they're going to try and write their reports in such a way that it is in the light most favorable to the insurance company and less favorable to the claimant. In fact, there's some doctors who do independent medical evaluations / insurance company medical evaluations who, to put it mildly, are just not honest at all. They usually always say either there's nothing wrong with the person, there was never anything wrong with the person, he never needed any treatment, that the treatment wasn't related to the accident. Depending on the doctor, you can see the pattern. Some doctors, every report, no matter who they see, they admit that the person's hurt, but it's not related to the accident. Or the next doctor, every report, there's nothing wrong with the claimant, there was never anything wrong with it. Next doctor, something wrong with the claimant, but the treatment he had wasn't necessary, it wasn't related to the accident. So, and after you've done this type of work for a long period of time, you can almost write the reports. You're so used to seeing the same things from the same doctors. The insurance companies know this, and that's why they pick these doctors. It's harder, obviously, when you go to court to explain that to a jury because you can't trample in, every report that they've ever written. But when you're involved in the system, all the parties know who all the players are. The doctors that testify for the insurance companies, who they are, and what they typically say. So, as I said, these are not independent. And you can pretty much assume that the reports are not going to be favorable. When you go to these doctor's appointments, you're not going there for treatment. You're just going there for the person to observe you, examine you, and then write a report that will eventually be used against you, I can almost assure you. There are times when some of the doctors they pick are fair, but those are few and far between. It's very important when you go to the insurance company medical evaluation that you are cooperative when you go there, that you don't give the doctor a hard time. Now, typically, the client will be very disappointed because they go there, they may have to wait a while, and then once they're in there, they may only see the doctor for 5 minutes or a minute or whatever. But that's not up to you. The insurance company hired them. That's something your lawyer can point out when the case comes for trial. But that's probably how long the evaluation is likely to be. If they're longer, great. At the evaluation, the doctor is going to ask you a series of questions. You should answer them as honestly as you possibly can. If your answers aren't honest, the doctor's going to pick up on that because he's got a copy of your medical records and he's going to compare that with the reports that he had, with these reports with what you're telling him. And if there's a difference, he's certainly going to point it out in his report, and then he will point it out in his testimony. Do not exaggerate at these independent medical evaluations. The doctors have certain tests that they do to try and figure out if you're exaggerating. Exaggeration is never helpful, so just tell them honestly how you're doing, what happened, and how it affected you. The doctor is going to do certain tests and examinations when you're there. Some of them are called Waddell tests. You may think that you know how to perform these tests, and you may do something that doesn't come natural, but you may be doing something that you think you're supposed to do when he does. When he bends your leg, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to cry out in pain, whatever. Don't do anything other than what you're supposed to do, which is do the test. If it doesn't hurt, don't say it hurts. There's tests they can do to see if your back hurts that aren't common sense. They lift your leg, and if it hurts, whatever, just tell them what's going on. Don't try and outthink what you think they want to hear from you, because all you're going to do is bury yourself. Also, why else do the insurance companies schedule these independent medical evaluations or insurance company medical evaluations? Well, the first reason is they're not accepting what your doctor says, or even if they're accepting it, they're trying to see if someone else will say something helpful to them so that they can put on a defense. Secondly, they're scheduling it because they know that the doctor is going to say something favorable to them. Thirdly, they're scheduling it because, medicals can be very complicated and they need their own doctor to explain the medicals to them. Sometimes the doctor may look at the case and tell them, you know what, this guy is straight up and you really ought to try and settle the case. Or the doctor will tell them, you know what, this guy's full of crap and here's why, and then maybe they won't settle the case. The other reason they schedule it is because this is another opportunity to see you and to see what kind of witness you're going to make. So if you go to the doctor's office and you're belligerent, you refuse to answer his questions, you give him a hard time, you're late, whatever, then he's going to report all that back, and that's going to make you look bad. It's very important that you show up on time, because if you don't, either A, the appointment's going to be canceled, or even if it's not canceled, the doctor's going to be mad, and then he may use this against you. Be advised that your independent medical evaluation starts from the minute you wake up in the morning till the minute you get home that night. One of the things that the insurance company does is if they're scheduling you to go somewhere, then they know what you're going to be doing that day, and they may send a private investigator out to follow you from the minute you leave your house or while you're in your house during that day till the minute you get home. So, for instance, if at home in the backyard you're mowing the lawn, you're doing exercises, you're playing baseball and football, and then you drive to the doctor's office, and when you get there, you go in the back of the trunk and pull out a cane and act like you're a cripple at the independent medical evaluation, and then you leave, and then after you leave in the parking lot, you're doing backflips. And then when you drive to the 7-Eleven on your way home, you're doing more backflips. All of this is going to be reported by the private investigator to indicate why you're faking, because you told the doctor one thing and you're doing something else. Or maybe when you were not at the doctor's office, you weren't using the cane, and when you went to the doctor's office, you were. When you were not at the doctor's office, you didn't wear the back brace, but when you went there, you did. All of these things are important. So typically, a doctor doing an IME, he's going to look at you when you're in the waiting room. You may not even know he's looking at you. He may look at you when you're walking out in the parking lot. So be aware of the fact that you're always up for a show. The independent medical doctor may also see videos of what you've been doing and be able to present an opinion as to whether medically it's consistent with what he's seeing in the videos. Bottom line on these is the insurance companies are sending you to the IME so that they, for instance, in an auto accident case, they want to know if the treatment you had was A, related to the accident, whether there's any other medical explanation for it. Did you have other injuries, other medical treatment in the past that may have been overlapping? They want to know if the treatment you had was reasonable, whether the treatment was too long, whether the bills were reasonable. The insurance company can send you there because they just don't believe you, meaning there was so little damage to your car that they're wondering how you could have been hurt at all. You may have had, back surgery before and now you're coming in complaining about your back from the accident you just had where there was a tap, and they don't believe that the injuries are related to that accident. Therefore, they don't believe what you're telling them. So you're sent there so that they can have someone who will testify to that. While I can't promise you that if you're nice to the independent medical doctor that he's going to be favorable to you, I can tell you that he's more likely to give some weight to what you say if you're cooperative and you make a good impression with him than if you act like a jerk when you're there. So I would ask you to be cooperative, answer his questions, keep your answers as short as possible, don't hide anything, don't give him a hard time, and always be aware that independent medical evaluation, insurance company medical evaluation, starts from the minute you wake up till the minute you go to bed. Thank you for listening. Again, my name is Mark Addis. My address for my office is 6 East Mulberry Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202. My phone number is 410-752-4878. My 800 number is 800-749-4878. My email address is maddis@addislaw.com. That would be M-A-T as in Tom, A-S as in Sam, @Addis Law, like lawyer, Law.com. Thank you.